All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Philosophy of Fitness podcast, episode number 30. My name is Haley. I'm going to be your host today, and every single day that you are tuning in, guys, 30 episodes down. Oh my goodness. I can't believe it. Honestly, I just want to first and foremost, before we get into this episode today, thank you so much to each and every single one of you that has been tuning into the show, that's been listening, watching on YouTube. I appreciate you guys more than you would know. Your support means the absolute world to me. And I'm so happy that I took the risk and I decided to do this because I was a little afraid to do it at first. I'm not going to lie. But it seems that you guys really enjoy this, and it's something that's going to keep on keeping on. And we have lots of guests coming, I promise. I've been kind of doing this solo for the past few episodes, as you probably have noticed, which has been really fun. But I am coming off of a really busy time of my life. If you guys have been following me for a little bit, you know that I just recently launched my 21-day mindset program. So I was working on that for I think like the past, I would say 4 months or so. I put a lot of work into that and it took up a lot of time. So I really didn't have quite as much time to reach out to guests and whatnot, especially with my schedule. But now that that is officially launched, which by the way, I'm just going to go ahead and plug this for a second. If you guys are interested, I recently launched that mindset program and I'm doing a discount for the entire month of December where you're going to be able to get everything in the program for only $77. So there's 3 weeks of content, 21 days. Each of the 3 weeks kind of has a different overarching theme. So the first week is really focused on recalibrating your internal compass. Second week is focused on honoring your progress, setbacks, road bumps, that kind of situation. And then the third and final week of the program is all about learning to release and let go of control. So it's a really awesome program, specifically catered towards people who are kind of struggling with their fitness goals in terms of their mindset. So if you're someone that's found yourself in a place where you're kind of plateauing, you're, seeing results, but not to the full capacity that you want, and you're not quite sure what's holding you back, you're kind of feeling stuck, then this is totally the program for you. Other thing about it that's really awesome is everything is completely self-paced. So you can start when you want and you can finish when you want, and you're going to have lifetime access to the material. So it's a really amazing deal. Everything that I've mentioned, guided meditations as well, guys, 3 different guided meditations that are super powerful. You have over 200 affirmations that are connected to each daily lesson. So there's 10 affirmations for each day and activities. And you also get exclusive access to the Facebook groups. And I drop some exclusive content in there as well. So definitely, if you're interested, I will leave the link in the description to this. It's only $77. It's an amazing, insane value. I want to give you guys this chance to really hop on this for the month of December. It makes an awesome gift to yourself, an awesome gift even to someone else if you're interested to kind of helping someone else really master their inner game and, kind of crack down on what it is maybe that's holding them back mentally. So it's all about just helping you level up, honor your progress, align with your vision, and really get after your goals. So again, if you're interested, the link will be in the description, $77 for the entire month of December. All right, so without further ado, we're going to hop into today's topic, which is going to be a couple of different things. There's a couple things that are on my mind today. The first and foremost thing that I kind of want to talk about is intuition and just how powerful it is. And it's something that's really, I think, guided me in a lot of ways. And it's something that I used to ignore for a really long time. And if you aren't familiar, I'm sure you are, but intuition is kind of like that little voice inside of your head, that gut feeling, as many people say. And it can sometimes be a really good feeling. Sometimes you'll have a really good vibe or feeling about a certain place or a situation. And on the flip side of that, sometimes you'll be like, I have a really bad vibe right now. I don't know why. Something's up. And it can kind of work on the flip side where that bad vibe will turn out to be true. And I wanted to kind of share today just how powerful our intuition is, and also just listening to ourselves at a deep level, and to get a little bit more esoteric into that as well. Sort of this idea, this notion of intuitive downloads, spiritual downloads, something that I've been receiving, exploring a little bit lately. But let's go ahead and backpedal. Intuition. I have a very vivid memory of really early on in my life of a powerful experience when I ignored my intuition and I didn't even know what it was at the time. So I think I was about 5 or 6 years old and I was in the car. My mom and my brother were also in the car. And we were kind of turning around this ravine, like this curve. And I was like, Mom, I have a really bad feeling. I have this like pit in my stomach. Something isn't right. Something bad's going to happen. And I said that like a couple times. And she was like, oh, honey, it's okay. Just brush it off, whatever. And, we were a couple minutes up the road, like not even a couple minutes after I said that, we had just missed this huge car crash that happened at this intersection. I mean, the cars were like completely smashed into each other. And I was like, whoa, oh my God. And that was my first real experience with intuition. And I've had a lot of times in my life where I have ignored that gut feeling. I've ignored that gut feeling about certain people in my life that I've tried to kind of just like push it to the side and say, oh no, let me just keep giving them a chance. Let me just see where this plays out. And I'm here to tell you that your intuition will never lie to you guys. If you are feeling a very strong way about someone in your life, either way, listen to it. Heed that warning. That's my biggest advice for you. Some of the most, I don't want to say the bad experiences because I don't like to put that label on them, but some of the most challenging, painful life experiences that I have had in the past few years were due to the fact that I ignored my intuition. And I mean, looking back at it now, I appreciate those lessons that I learned from it. And if I had ignored that intuitive red flag, I probably wouldn't have learned those lessons in the same way. But I definitely can see in hindsight now, certain people in my life that I said, you know what, I've got a real bad feeling about this person. Lo and behold, my intuitive gut feeling about them wound up being right. And it was just no bueno. I don't want to get too much more into that, but it's just kind of to paint that picture of just how powerful your intuition is. So that's my first thing that I want to talk about today is just lately I've been feeling a little bit more called to dive inward in the sense of not so much seeking like validation or affirmation from something outside of me, but rather kind of diving inward to see where I should be going, if that makes sense. So, and this kind of ties into the other thing I was mentioning of like intuitive downloads, spiritual downloads. If you're more onto the fitness side of things, this is going to sound a little bit hokey pokey to you, but essentially it's kind of this notion of when you're meditating or you kind of are just in that state, sometimes you'll receive downloads, kind of like a computer essentially. So, and it's also sort of tying into intuition because the best way that I could explain it is that something will just become apparent to you. Like it will just be this inner knowing of feeling like, okay, this is what needs to happen right now, or this is what needs to be going on. And I know that might sound a little out there to some of you. That's okay. I'm here to kind of like break that down, crack that code, because a few years ago, if you told me about intuitive downloads, I'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? But I do truly feel that it's something that's powerful. So meditation is one of the ways that I really find I'm able to kind of dive inward. And I've had some pretty cool experiences meditating. Lately, I haven't had so many crazy experiences or things that I would say are typically way out of line or, really like transcendental. But I have in the past few weeks, I've been really just kind of lifting up to the universe, my higher self, whatever you want to call it. Just like what direction I should be going. In terms of in terms of the podcast, my YouTube channel, creating that because I'm so passionate about sharing my truth, sharing my message of the mind-body connection, and also creating. I'm such a creative person at my core. Like I truly love doing this. I love making videos. I love doing all of that. And it's eventually my goal to be able to do all of that, full time. Like I love doing this. And so I just kind of found myself in a place of, okay, I'm not really sure which direction I should be heading. And it's sort of like setting an intention, right? So before you meditate, you sort of just set the intention that like things will be revealed to me like at the right time in the right place. And then you just let it go. I talked about intention setting in the last episode, by the way, if you want to check that out, how powerful intention setting is versus goal setting. So you can definitely check that out. But in terms of this, before you meditate, setting that intention, if there's something that you want clarity on in your life, you could even, ask your spirit guides, whatever it is that resonates with you. I'm not here to tell you what to believe in. I'm just here to tell you and share with you my experience. So I call upon my spirit guides, my higher self, to reveal to me where I should be going, what I should be doing next. And I've set that intention for the past few weeks. And I have to say that it works. It's crazy because I set that intention. And I remember one day, it was a couple weeks ago, I was meditating. I set that intention and I did my usual thing. And I was meditating, whatever. And I went to bed that night. And then I woke up the next morning and it was like, boom, it was like this epiphany of what I should be doing next. And it was just like this inner knowing. It didn't come from anyone else. It wasn't like I asked, my mom, my dad, or my brother or something, hey, what should I do? It was just this sense of inner knowing of like, Haley, this is what needs to happen. And so what I have received from that download essentially is that I'm going to be pivoting this podcast to audio only, so that it allows me more time to focus on creating other videos around all kinds of topics that sort of bridge the gap between fitness and spirituality. So that's the direction that I'm heading in. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, that if you have something that's kind of weighing on you, that you feel, like you need a little bit of clarity, a little bit of guidance, you're not quite sure, take that time to dive inward, because you'd be very surprised at what your intuition and what that intuitive download will reveal to you. Because I truly think that by slowing down and just pausing for a moment and saying, okay, let me just lift this up and, see what I can receive, what I'm open to receiving intuitively. And it came to me. And I want you guys to be able to experience that as well. So my advice to you would be, if you are in that place, set that intention. What do you want clarity on in your life? Is it your career? Is it your love life? Is it your health? What is it? Power of intuition goes over every single area of our lives, relationships, health. I mean, even you think about the mind-gut connection. Think about that for a second. Your body will tell you, if you really listen to your body, what you're feeding it, what's serving it the best, what's no bueno, what's not agreeing with it. Intuition is so, so powerful. So that idea of receiving downloads, you have to be open to it. Have an open heart, have an open mind, be willing to explore. I think another thing too with meditation is that for a lot of different people, it has a lot of different benefits. For me, it's one of the best ways that I can kind of keep myself at ease, so that I'm not anxious or stressed. It also helps me sleep at night. And if you want to get into numbers, specifics of it, my resting heart rate actually drops substantially when I'm consistently meditating. And I had done a little study on myself back in the beginning of the quarantine when we were just, locked up and whatnot. And I had the same diet, same exercise routine, and I had fallen off the wagon of meditating for a couple weeks. And I said, okay, well, let me see what happens if I meditate consistently every single day for the next 2 weeks. And I'm not joking you, my resting heart rate dropped 10 points. It went from 56 to 46. And that's how powerful meditation is for me, with relieving stress, with staying centered. I think it also helps with making me at least less reactionary. It allows things to become more apparent to me. Like I said, with these downloads, it's just overall, I think if you're just starting off on your spiritual journey, or if you're just beginning to explore kind of what it has to offer, I would suggest starting with meditating. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It could be literally 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, just connecting with your breathing. It's as simple as that. Just follow your breath as it enters your body, as it leaves. And then that's what also allows you to stay more mentally present. There was another tip that I had heard about meditation from someone. I forget where I heard it, but it actually really resonated with me. And I think it helps, especially for those of you that have a tendency to kind of allow your mind to wander and get anxious, because I certainly can be that way. But essentially the tip is, when you're meditating, just pretend that no one and nothing else exists. And I know that sounds a little bizarre, but it really, really helps, because then it kind of just eliminates all of the need to worry about, oh, what do I need to rush back to after this? Oh, what's this person going to say? Ooh, oh my God, your mind's running, a million miles a minute. If you pretend for just 5 minutes that nothing else exists, then you're free of all the worry, right? You're free of that trap of time constraint, of anxiety, anything. And it really helps. It allows you to be more mentally present. And the more mentally present you are during meditation, the more you get out of it. So definitely would recommend start off with some meditation. Allow that also to connect you with your intuition. For me, meditating was a way that I could also reconnect with that. And it's something that I'm working on now, is developing my intuition a little bit more, listening to my higher self, my spirit guides a little bit more, and trusting that. and not seeking someone outside of me telling me what I need to do, but rather seeking from within what needs to happen, where I should be going, and trusting in that, like trusting that if you really do listen to that, if you listen to your intuition, if you let it guide you, that everything is going to happen when it should, as it should, that you don't need someone's stamp of approval to make it happen. You can find that answer from within. You'd be surprised, guys. I know this world has a lot to offer, like outward, books, research, whatever. But if you take that time to dive inward, you're going to learn a lot more about yourself too, your tendencies, why you like behave a certain way, maybe why you view things a certain way. And it's powerful. It's really powerful and transformative. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you today. Definitely, if you are someone who meditates, drop me a comment. Let me know. Have you ever had an experience with a download type situation or intuition? Have you guys ever had an experience where your intuition proved to be right? Where you had that gut feeling and then, it manifested? I'd be totally, totally curious to hear. So yeah, leave me a comment. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about today is staying on track during the holidays. So this one's a big one with my fitness friends out there. Holiday season's coming up. That means we got lots of yummy snacks, yummy meals, gatherings. Although now in this, state of the world with, what going around, there's probably not going to be as many gatherings at least. So there's not as much temptation, but it's still, it's a time of year. It's a time of indulgence, right? Like the holidays are a time of feasting, of gathering and, eating a lot of stuff. And as the weather gets cold too, I think some of us sometimes, that we want to eat a little bit more, which is normal. It's totally normal. But I wanted to kind of give my input today a little bit on how to stay on track during the holiday season, because it's a hard time of year to stay on track with your fitness goals. If you're running around buying gifts for people, you're going to this person's house for Christmas, going here, going there. And a lot of people, in school get stressed out this time of year with finals, and even people with like corporate jobs. I know that this is a busy time of year for a lot of people across the board. So that means stress, right? When it's busy, we get stressed. Sometimes we eat a little bit more. But I think my biggest advice would be to be mindful of your perception when it comes to eating during the holidays. Sometimes we see a lot of people say, oh, these are our guilty pleasure foods or a guilty snack. And I think sometimes that association of guilty, that we put that label on the food, that we then somehow feel bad for enjoying it, that we somehow feel like we need to earn our right to enjoy the meal or, have an extra cookie, piece of cake, like whatever it might be. Just understand that that's the label that you're putting on the food. That's the meaning that you are assigning to the food. So it is what it is, right? A piece of cake is a piece of cake. It's a guilty piece of cake if you're putting that label on it and if you're feeling that way about it and if you're feeling that like resentment afterwards for eating it, that you're not allowing yourself to fully enjoy it. Whereas if you just say, you know what, this is a piece of cake, I'm going to eat it and I'm going to get back on track for the next meal. I think a really slippery slope that a lot of people fall into, especially during the holidays, is somehow feeling this sense of like a guilt or this idea that they somehow need to earn their meal, their Christmas feast or holiday dinner or whatever it might be. And obviously, everything within reason. So I'm not here to tell you like, oh, you can just feast the whole holiday season and you'll be good to go. Like, don't worry about it. Like, obviously that's not sustainable, right? That's not going to work out for most of us. But what I am saying is to allow yourself to enjoy that time and then get back on track like the next meal, the next day. If you're sitting at the Christmas table, and you're trying to count your macros and your mashed potatoes, you're probably not going to be enjoying your time with your family that much. So my biggest piece of advice would be don't label or associate the food as being guilty. Just allow yourself to enjoy it in that moment. Recognize it for what it is, right? Awareness is everything. I am aware that this meal is a lot. That's fine. You're aware of it. Allow yourself to enjoy it in that moment. And then from there, you move on and you get back on track for the next day. And I think that it's guilt-free enjoyment is something that should be stressed more during the holidays. It's a time for us to really spend with our families, to appreciate one another. And I think you should enjoy your meal. Enjoy that time. Don't go crazy, get back on track the next day. And if you're somebody that's really into the numbers games or macros, whatnot, download, what is it, like Fitbit or any of those tracking apps. You can download some of those and they can keep you on track. And then for those days that you are, going to a gathering or whatever it is that you're doing, that you're having that like treat, just factor it in and then move on. I also personally, I don't like to get too caught up in those tracking apps just because sometimes I feel like they have a tendency to make us a little bit obsessive over the numbers. But if you want to just see like an overarching idea, ballpark of where you're at, especially if it's on a day where you're having one of those big meals, then you can totally do that. It's whatever works for you. But staying on track also means sometimes putting yourself first in some situations where it might be a little bit more difficult to do that. So what do I mean by that? Putting yourself first in the sense of carving out that time to get your workout in. So this is something that is a struggle, I know, for a lot of people, but sometimes it means saying no, right? Sometimes saying no to something is saying yes to something else. So maybe it's taking the time at the start of your week to plan your schedule so that you're going to have time blocked out specifically to get your workout in that nobody else is going to be able to kind of tamper with or take away from you. And that's another way to help you stay on track mentally, physically, making sure that you have that allocated time for your workout. Treat it as a precious time because it is. It's your time to elevate your being. Exercise is so important. You guys don't need me to tell you this. It's so important for a multitude of reasons. Mental health, building strength, cardio, all of that is so essential. So take that time for yourself to block out the time. If you're somebody that's a real diehard, I know a lot of people like to exercise on the actual holidays, which is totally awesome. Go for it. If you're one of those people that wants to do that, like get after it. I'm definitely one of those people. I love to work out. I work out on Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, the whole shebang. But don't feel like you have to do it out of a sense of guilt. I think that's what I really want to stress here. Is kind of just eliminating that guilt that we carry around with exercise and diet around the holidays. Allow yourself to enjoy, but also understand that it's okay to get back on track like the next day or the next meal. And the guilt will not serve you in any way. Because what happens is once we start to feel that guilt, it's a low vibrational emotion, it's going to kind of trickle through to other areas of our lives. So if we're just like beating ourselves up, like, oh my God, I ate so much last night. Oh my God. Then you start to carry that energy with you. And, the whole next day you're beating yourself up over it, being so harsh on yourself for having had an extra, like sugar cookie or bowl of mashed potatoes. And then you send yourself on a spiral. You're like, okay, I need to just like sweat this off. I can't eat any more sweets or whatever until I earn it again. And I've been in this mindset before. So that's why I want to talk about this. It's okay. It's okay to every once in a while enjoy yourself and to just let it be. Like we aren't meant, in my opinion, to just 24/7 be hustling, totally on it 100%. Like life is meant to be indulgent at times and celebrated at times. And I think that that's what the holidays are. So for those days, allow yourself to enjoy, but understand that it's also really important to get back on track once you've also allowed yourself to enjoy it. And you can move on from that guilt-free. You can understand that what you're doing is time for you to allow yourself to unravel a little bit, unwind, let loose, not keep track. And then you say, you know what? Okay, I got it. That was a nice meal. I'm going to move on and I'm going to get back into it now. And I think it's really helpful also when you eliminate the guilt from things. It kind of makes that bounce back a little bit quicker, at least for me, where you're not so much dwelling on what you did the day before, but you're just ready for it. I mean, you think about it, all we ever have is this present moment. We're constantly being renewed each moment. So each new day, it's a clean slate. You don't have to let the guilt, or not the guilt, but you don't have to let the eating pattern of yesterday trickle over into today. So if you were totally off the wagon for one day, start anew the next day. You have that choice. You have that power. So overall, guys, guilt-free. enjoy the holidays. Remember that the food is the meaning that you assign to it. So there are no guilty foods. That's just the meaning that you're assigning to it. That's your perception of the food. Allow yourself to enjoy it. Have that awareness that it is going to be a little bit more calorically heavy than what you normally have. But with that awareness, allow it to guide you to move on and to inspire you to get back to crushing your goals the next day, the next meal, whatever it might be. Yeah, guys, that's all I have for you today. I just wanted to kind of share. I know it's a little bit of a mishmash, but it's what's been on my mind lately. So if you enjoyed this episode, please go ahead, drop me a review, a rating over on Apple Podcasts. That really helps me out. Not only does it let me know that you are enjoying the show, it also lets Apple Podcasts know as well, and it really helps with the algorithm. So I would totally appreciate that. If you're listening on YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe button, that notification bell, the like button if you enjoyed any of this stuff. And I will see you guys when I see you next. 30 episodes down, baby. Let's go. This is just the beginning. Sending you so much love and lights. And that is all I got for you.